It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome to the Yankee Postgame Podcast on the Mike Francesa Podcast. And remember, for all of your wagering needs, it's Bet Rivers in New York and New Jersey. Play Sugar House in Connecticut, and you can find the Mike Francesa Podcast on the Bet Rivers Network and other places. But check the Bet Rivers Network first for all your podcast needs when it comes to this program. Now, if the Indians are going to be, here we go, we start with the Indians, but the Guardians, okay, if the Guardians are going to be competitive in this series, they are going to have to pitch extremely well and play the game extremely crisply and get a couple of big hits. They did none of the above tonight. They didn't pitch badly. The game wasn't a rout, but they did make enough mistakes that it made the game rather comfortable for the Yankees in a lot of ways. Cleveland turned a couple of situations into runners on third base with less than two out. The steal for Judge that wound up on third. The single to right field that turned into a triple. Those are the kind of mistakes that Cleveland can't make. Also, they did not get a big hit in any spot. You know how good Ramirez is. He had a single and a double and a walk tonight. You know what he can do. The Yanks will try to pitch around him whenever they can. But two big spots in the game for Cleveland tonight. They had the bases loaded with one out after the Kwan home run, and they did not get a run home. They did not. They had their 5 and 6 hitters up, and they got nothing and left it at one run. That was very big. And then in the seventh inning, when they had gone to the bullpen and brought in Loizaga, they had a very good chance to have a big inning there, and they had to get Ramirez to the plate. Kwan gets the base hit. Now it's first and second. Rosario's had a good year for them. Okay, he hit 280, knocked in 70 runs. He hit 11 home runs. He did some good things for them. But what he can't do in that spot, the one thing he can't do, what is it? Of course, he can't hit into a double play and take the inning away from Ramirez. What does he do? He hits into a double play, ends the inning. Ramirez doesn't come up with, at worst, the tying runs on, he'd be the tying run right there at the plate. Didn't happen. Didn't get up. Led off the next at bat with a base hit. Didn't matter. The bottom line is the guys behind Ramirez are going to have to get a couple of hits, whether that's Naylor or Gonzalez or Jimenez. And if you're setting the table, whether you're Kwan or Rosario, if you're setting the table in a big spot for Ramirez, you cannot take the bat out of his hands, because he is the key to the whole thing. He is the one big offensive force that the Guardians have, and without him, they're not going to do anything. Now, let's be honest. Cleveland's about pitching, and more pitching. They have a terrific bullpen. They have good starting pitching. They pitch great down the stretch. They were a hot team in September. They weren't supposed to be here. They weren't even supposed to be 500 this year, no less be in the playoffs. And they've already won a series. We know that. They're a huge underdog in this series. But if they're going to make themselves a presence in this thing and take advantage of the Yankee vulnerabilities like their bullpen, they have got to do some things very, very well. If not, they're going to get out-homered. But tonight, the Yankees didn't need much. They got it. Donaldson swung the bat. Well, he should have been hustling on the ball that hit the wall. Rizzo, is my favorite Yankee by far in this group. He's made for that stadium. He is a huge home run threat. He's great with the glove. He was good with the glove again tonight, as he always is, and he hit the two-run home run. That was the difference, really, that gave the Yankees the breathing room they needed to go on to a 4-1 win. So, listen, it would be a disastrous and dismal finish to the season if the Yankees didn't beat Cleveland. They're supposed to beat Cleveland. Just like Houston's supposed to beat Seattle, just like the Dodgers are supposed to beat San Diego. And yes, even although they lost today, the way the Braves are supposed to beat the Phillies, although the Phillies are playing well right now. But again, you saw their vulnerability in their bullpen late, and that's going to they're going to have to pitch better in the pen if they're going to get through that series against Atlanta. They got by game one, but again, their bullpen is extremely, extremely an Achilles heel for that team. It's got to be decent for them. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. Hey, we could be sitting here tonight. The Yankees could be one up, and the Mariners could be one up. And in the best of five, you're saying, hey, maybe. But you saw what happened. And Alvarez, who is just an incredible offensive player and is very much, if you're old enough to remember Willie McCovey, you know he almost looks like a carbon copy of Willie McCovey. And to his credit, he swings the bat like Willie McCovey. And what a performance by him tonight, late this afternoon into this evening. I mean, he had 3 hits, he had big hits, and then he comes up and gets, a 3-run walk-off home run that goes, just a shade shy of 440 feet. I mean, he had 3 hits today and 5 RBIs, including the walk-off 3-run homer. And Seattle, hey, when you're a big underdog and you have the kind of lead they have, you got to win that game. When they hit the homer in the 7th and they went up 7-3, they got to think this is our game. Even at 7-5 going to the 9th, they got to think this is our game. And instead, it's an 8-7 win for the Astros. And after one day in this round, the Yankees and the Astros have taken one big, giant step towards each other in a battle that we expect to see next week. I mean, let's be honest. We will be very, very surprised if we don't see that. And we are already on a way towards that. Now, remember, off day tomorrow, the weather for Thursday night, and the American League is in action Thursday night. The Yankee game is 7:37 Thursday night. Cortez will be on the mound, but the weather forecast is dismal. So there's a very good chance that they could get rained out on Thursday, play game 2 there on Friday, and then have 3 days in a row with no off day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I would think, if that series goes that far. I mean, that would most likely be the schedule. They just cancel the off day, I would think. So watch, that's a very distinct possibility. The American League is off tomorrow. Game 2 in the National League for both spots, Wheeler and Wright. And game 2 for the Phillies and Braves at 4:35, and then the Padres and Dodgers. And as we put the Yankee game to bed tonight, the Dodgers have already opened up a lead. Now, remember, San Diego had to go in there tonight with a pitcher they didn't want to pitch against the Dodgers. So you knew that going in. It wasn't the matchup they wanted, and the game already is a bit of a problem. Tomorrow, 8:37, Yu Darvish and Kershaw in game number 2, and then the American League will be back in action Thursday. The National League will be back in action on Friday, and then everybody's in action on Saturday and Sunday. Now, remember, okay, that Thursday for the Yankees, right now the forecast is for 100% rain on Thursday. So if that happens, if it holds true, you might be looking at game 2 on Friday. As far as Cole, who is not my favorite, he never is. He wasn't great today, but he wasn't bad. He pitched into the 7th inning. He's facing a very light-hitting team. The Indians don't have a lot of offense. They hit half as many homers as the Yankees this year. You know how many kids they're playing with this year. They're a pitching-rich team and usually a very good defensive team. They did not handle their defense well this evening. They didn't get any clutch hits that they had to get, and they did hit one homer, but the Yankees hit 2, and that was obviously the difference in the ball game as the Yankees go on to a matter-of-fact 4-1 win. Now, the bullpen could have been tricky tonight. Loizaga wasn't very good. Okay? Holmes comes in and hits a batter. This bullpen is going to be hold your breath. It's going to be hold your breath all postseason. It's going to be hard for them to get to where they want to get with this bullpen. That's all there is to it. It's not a great bullpen. Holmes has had some nagging injuries. He has not been the same pitcher since he came back. The loss of King was dramatic. Peralta can do his job. Loizaga, we know, has ability, but tonight, you know what? He gave up 2 hits. And if it wasn't for the double play, could have been in very much hot water in this game. So you don't know what you're going to get out of this pen. It's going to be very tough. Now, again, the Indians are a light-hitting team. They've only scored 4 runs in the postseason so far. They won 1-0 in extra innings. They won 2-1 in the other game. And they've lost 4-1. They've scored 4 runs in the playoffs so far. And that's counting a bunch of extra innings. They have one big hitter in their lineup. They do have good starting pitching. They have a tremendous bullpen. And that's where, if they're going to do any damage against the Yankees, that's where they're going to have to do it. Bader gets a home run tonight as he kind of makes his way into the Yankee family in the postseason. You have to be happy, like I said, with what Cole gave you. 6 1/3. He struck out 8. He gave up his 1 homer. He always gives up a homer, it seems. And he only gave up 4 hits. So it was a matter-of-fact win against a light-hitting opponent, against an opponent who clearly is overmatched, but has been playing very well and has pitched very well. You don't want to take Cleveland lightly by any stretch, but you're supposed to beat this team. And right now, you're 1 to the north, and that's where you want to be. You want to make this easy and get on to the next series. And let's be honest, if you were dreaming of Seattle and not wanting to see any part of the Astros, it's probably not going to happen. And their heroics today made it really tough. When you're an underdog, a pretty substantial underdog, and you lose a game 1 like that, it's tough to turn around. It really is. And you know how tough the Astro team is. On a day where Verlander didn't have it, which is rare, and they bail him out in a big way, for them to come up winners on that day, it's a big positive for them. Like I said when I previewed the Yankees earlier today, I said to you, it would be not surprising if one team of the 4 underdogs broke through. If 2 broke through, you'd be very surprised because they're all substantial underdogs. 1 might break through. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If 2 did, you'd be very surprised. That would be it would be very surprising. I think 3 out of the 4 will get through. I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 get through. And we've been expecting a Yankee-Astro series for a long time, and we took 1 step closer towards that this evening. So in a kind of matter-of-fact game, but the game that, you want to win, the game that you want to go about your business, they got what they needed tonight. They got a good game out of Rizzo. They got a solid game out of Cole. They got a no harm out of the bullpen and went about their business. They only had 5 hits, but they didn't need any more. They had a couple of homers. Donaldson came close to hitting another. He needs to run there, and he did have a couple of hits and a walk tonight. Judge, all eyes on him. Obviously, Cleveland said they would pitch to him, but respectfully. He had one walk. He struck out 3 times. No big deal. You know he'll be there when necessary. It wasn't needed this evening on their way to a ho-hum, matter of fact, 4-1 win over Cleveland. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.